Channel, the B&B Sagas.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Brittany.
And I'm Bobby.
And today we're going to be talking about something different, something that's kind of special.
In a way.
So, this one I'm going to let Bobby take over.
How do I begin with this? Well, let's put it this way. When Brittany and I first met, she had no idea until later that she found out that I had autism. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I was born on September 11th, 92, and I was just a normal baby at that rate. And then at 18 months, my parents took me to the doctor, and it turns out that I wasn't speaking, I wasn't communicating, I wasn't really interacting with anybody. And the doctors told my parents that your son was born with autism. And the next thing you know, I've been pretty much playing myself as a regular average kid who just happened to have trouble with talking. And I didn't really learn how to talk until I was 6 years old. So when I was around first grade, it was when I started to really pick up on my speech. So I had to go through speech therapy. I had a bunch of other teachers help me with my speech, and I had a really hard time growing up as a kid trying to basically communicate with the world. So, like I said, I was just a normal kid who just really had a hard time with learning things. And even to this day, I still have my issues. I have a hard time putting words together. I have a hard time with pressure. I have a hard time with sometimes when Britt and I get into a certain argument, or if I'm not understanding something, Brittany will be by my side just to kind of show me where I have to be, and I can't be thankful enough for her because she has a lot of patience for me, and she's been through a lot with me for almost 5 years. So
how it was, he told me on our first date. Well, first he was like very fidgety and everything, and he's like, there's something like I have to tell you. So I'm like, okay, what could this be? It's the first day I've known you for 24 hours. What could it be? So he tells me, he's like, well, you didn't say autism. You said
I had Asperger's is what I said.
Yeah, Asperger's.
Which at that time I said it was the kind of like the adulthood version of autism.
Yeah, so, and the look on his face, he was expecting me to, be freaked out, not know anything,
Because I made a lot of ignorant, naive people, but I didn't think Brittany would want to go out with me after I told her that. And I did it without fear, honestly. I honestly said to myself, don't let your feelings hold you back. And I told her what I had to say, and it came out the way it was supposed to come out as I approached it. And I was honestly expecting her to say, what is that? And can you explain it to me a bit more?
So basically all I said was, when he said I have autism, I'm like, okay. I continued just eating my food. As he said, I guess he was expecting a different reaction, but for me it's just alright, it's part of you, it's how you are, it makes you who you are.
I was expecting her to spit out her food. Let's just put it that way.
I honestly, back in high school, I did a research paper for health class on autism, specifically Asperger's, so I knew, some little signs of it, but as it is, everybody's different. No matter if two people have Asperger's, they're gonna function differently. So throughout beginning few months of our relationship, I kind of knew what were his things for it.
What do you mean by that?
So, alright, so when I first started dating him and I go over to his house, and I would hear him in his room like talking.
Which I still do.
And like I go in there, I'm like, there's nobody here. I'm like, oh, who are you talking to? And he's like, myself. He says it with pride, you know.
I don't hold back.
Him.
I don't hold back from it either. I have an audacity to talk to myself like it's another personality. And it's probably because, number one, Brittany is the only real person I hang out with, other than my other friend, CJ, who I don't see often because he's always sick and whatever. But that's not the point. The point is that I never really grew up with many friends. So as time went on, I mean, people always said to me, oh, you inspire me, or, oh, I want to see you, like, on the weekend or whatever, or, oh, dude, I want to definitely hang out with you. But they never really make the effort to, call me. Yeah, they don't really show the appreciation for it. So, and a lot of my friends that I grew up with in elementary either moved on from me or
you went to special needs.
Yeah, I was in special ed for most of my life, basically, from, like, kindergarten to high school. And
oh, well, speaking of, I don't know if you guys remember our video that we did a little while ago of like how we met and everything. So in there, I don't know if you remember me mentioning that he went to a different high school than what was right by his house. I'm like, oh, I'll explain it like a different video. And so he went there because of his special needs.
Because I went to a place called Calhoun High School, and then Brittany went there as well. And we said earlier in our last video that she didn't really recognize me, or at least expect me to be anywhere in her life until we actually met. So it was kind of like a coincidence as to she ended up just so happened to be there. And she was at my graduation.
We said all that.
When I graduated in high school. But and I think after a while, I was thinking within 6 months, and I honestly thought this. I honestly thought after a while she was going to have she was pretty much fed up with me, and she was pretty much, had enough of my antics. But it's something I can't help with. It's just my personality. I don't control what happens. It's like it's like another person living inside of me. It's just like, when I talk to myself, it's just a sense of comfort for me.
Well, the thing, he doesn't talk to himself as much now, but what he does is he ruins jokes. By that I mean, we have like a group chat that we're in with other people. So if he's saying a joke in that group chat and I'm like in the same room as him, he'll like say it out loud and laugh and then send it. So it's just like, oh, I already know what this says. So like, he laughs about something before like he says it, but like if you're not like in their context, you won't understand it, and he like laughs about it. And it's like he always, I don't. Like, how do I explain it? It's hard to explain.
It's basically, I know the joke before it gets sent out. Almost.
And it's like if I'm in the room with him, like, I already know what he just texted, or if he says something that he's very excited about, like, if he's trying to do, like, a comeback with somebody, he'll say it out loud, like, several times before he sends it. He was, like, so proud of himself that he thought of that. That's what he does all the time.
And it's just how I am. Oh, and probably the other thing, too, is when I tell a joke, like, for example, a couple of years ago, and my mom and Brittany know about this, she has a tattoo of doves on her leg. So at one point when we were showing off tattoos, I made a comment about her tattoo saying, oh, you have a bunch of seagulls on you.
I'll insert a picture so you guys understand what it looks like.
Yeah, and as soon as I left that room, because, we were just, getting to know each other by then, I go to my room, and I'm down the hall, and it's pitch black, by the way.
No, it's not. It was in the daytime.
No, it was like 7 o'clock at night.
It wasn't. Anyways.
Anyway, so I'm walking down the aisle in my house, and I'm trying to go in my room, and I'm like, they have doves on your head. Like,
no, you didn't say that. She's like, he goes down the hallway, and he's like, she's got seagulls on her leg. So it's like, so he's repeating that joke, because, like, when he said it initially in the living room that we were, we all started laughing, so he walks away, and he's like, seagulls on our leg.
It's kind of like when somebody says something in their head that just gets, like, clawed into their head. Another flaw I have, and if you guys notice in my speech, I often, misuse words, or I can't use a proper sentence, because that's just how my brain functions. I don't just do it because I suck at it.
Oh, yeah. He does that a lot. Like, if he's texting me, he'll forget to add a word in. So, and, like, I know by now, like, I know his style of texting. I know, like, we both do. We do full sentences, full words and everything when we text.
We don't do that shortcut crap.
No. So, when he misses the word, like, I already know what he's saying, but he'll, like, send in a separate text. Like, just the word, like, nothing. So, if you, like, an example is, like, the dog is barking, he'll put, like...
The dog barking.
No, well, yeah, I guess we'll do that. And he'll just send like is after.
Yeah,
So I'm like, oh.
because I always notice I don't ever proofread my texts. I mean,
I
I'm
don't
not.
think anybody does.
I mean, I don't write a novel, but like I just so happen just to do that. It's just an effort, and usually I leave out key informational words. Like I always forget to do so, but
Because like he has so much on his mind where he just has to get it out, so it comes out differently than what he wants, and then he gets like a little frustrated. So he has to go like backtrack. And then re-say everything fully.
And even then, I mean, even if I'm saying a full sentence right now, like if I always have to have I always have issues with trying to put like words and sentences together, and then when people get confused, they jump the wagon, and they basically just label and judge my sentencing, saying speak some English or go back to school or something like that. I'm like
going back to people who are arrogant, who don't understand, who don't want to understand, who think that difference is a bad thing when it's not.
Yeah, but I mean, let's just say if it was another situation where if I'm like talking to somebody I know, my family obviously would know, my parents understand, she understands, but if I'm talking to like my friend's mom or something, or another person out of the public, and they say what, or something like that, they don't get it. Like, it's just my frustration kicks in, like. And I always have trouble, like I said before, I always have trouble, putting the exact words I want to put in the sentence. But then again, I've always had that issue as well. Like, usually a lot of people just don't understand. And I always try to, teach people, not to be afraid of it, like it's some sort of disease. And that's what a lot of the thing is, that people label it as a disease. It's like, it's not a disease. It's just a mental disability that I was just somehow born with.
Oh, another thing that you do is he paces a lot.
Oh yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Like when he's excited, he pace. When he's nervous, he'll pace. Like not when you're angry, but like when you're getting to like the frustrated point, you start pacing.
Yeah, and Brittany's actually said at one point to me, she's like, that really freaks me out. Stop pacing.
No, not that doesn't freak me out. But I have a nickname when he does that. His nickname is the Wandering Sir.
The Wandering Sir, yes.
So I'm just like, oh, where you going, babe?
I did that one time at, like, we were at another mall in Long Island, and we were picking out clothes for Brittany, and I had a piece of, like, I think it was a shirt or a pair of jeans at that point.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
He was wandering, and, like, I had him hold something because, like, I had my hands full, so I was having him hold, like, a clothing item from the store. He was wandering so much he walked out of the store with the shirt.
Yeah, and I had and then next thing you know, I was out of my...
babe, get back in here!
I wasn't trying to steal it. I wasn't paying attention, and all of a sudden, beep, 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 beep.
And I'm just like, I'm so sorry. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's how they nicknamed the
And
Wandering.
it wasn't like, a place like, cheap place or something. It was like, they had like high-end, like, not business clothes, but like...
high security clothing.
Yeah, like... Not brand. I don't know how to not branding, but it was like it was expensive clothing.
Like clothing that you would probably wear to like a party or something.
Yeah, like a business attire or something like that. Fancy, formal clothing. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and somehow in some way I was just walking away. I was just minding my own business. 'Cause at that point I was so bored because she took forever to pick up some clothes.
The security guard comes like running, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
And the guard didn't really say anything, and I turned around.
Like, you gonna pay for that?
And I just said, sorry. I mean, I just wasn't paying attention. But I wasn't walking out of the store intentionally. I was just kind of like in my own little world.
Well, yeah, we said that you wandered out without knowing I was going back to the Wandering Sir.
Yeah, and that's when the Wandering Sir nickname came in from Brittany, and since then she's always been calling me the Wandering Sir. Always has been.
So, I think that's it. That's all that you do. So you talk to yourself, you pace. Those are really things that he does. Like I was saying before, there's different levels of it, and everybody's different. Like, he does everything else like a normal, full-time job. He drives and everything.
And I got a beautiful girlfriend right here.
So yeah. I mean, is there anything else you want to add about or you want to talk about with it? I
would probably say, at most, if you guys are not aware of of my autism or anything like that, you should probably do yourself a favor and do some research on it. It actually might educate you a little bit more and give you an idea prospectively of what I'm going through every day almost. I mean, there's different levels. You know, you have severe autism, you have high functioning autism, you have low functioning autism. I'm somewhere in the middle.
No, you have high functioning.
Yeah, I'm more high functioning than I am lower functioning, but there are times where I'm like in the lower functioning section.
No, I don't know.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. And yeah, like you're saying, if he has any questions that you guys want to ask him about it, or like a common thing that I get asked all the time is, well, why do you choose to date someone who has autism? And
You've been asked that?
I have, actually.
Who's asked you that?
I don't know, it's been asked a couple times.
On social media or just in person?
In person.
Really?
And I'm so dumbfounded by that question because it's why do you choose to date anybody?
It's like saying why do you choose to hang out with someone with Down syndrome?
And I don't see him for his autism. I see him for, you know, who he is as Bobby, and that's how it's been the past almost 5 years. So, I mean, if you want to judge somebody and base them solely on their, you know, whether it's learning disorder, mental disorder, you know, you name it, if you want to judge somebody based on that, then I think that goes back to what you were saying with arrogance, and it's why would you do that?
There's just a lot of cruel people in this world that don't really get it. And then after they finally learn what it is, it's like, oh, I didn't know you had it. I'm like, well, you should have known that. I've been kind of...
Or another thing is, he doesn't look like he has it.
Yeah, I get that comment a lot.
You don't look like you have autism.
I very often get that comment. And a lot of people, when I tell them, they always like... And people look at me as this average guy, and they always say to me, wow, you don't look like you have autism. I'm like, I don't have to show...
Like, what does that even mean?
What do I have to even show? Is it because of my speech delay? Is it my appearance? Because that's usually the signs about people with autism, is that they don't fully function like everybody else does. Like, I, for one, am one of the lucky ones. I just so happen to get my knowledge and make up for it. Because you got to remember something, guys. I didn't learn how to talk until I was 6 years old. So I was pretty much out of line in terms of speech for the first 5 years of my life. And then when people come up to me, you know, when they always say to me, you know, how do you have such a good vocabulary? I'm like, well, I studied a lot when I was younger, or when I was a kid, and I just kind of found my way of learning how to spell and learning how to read.
Like everybody else does.
I mean, I always have issues when I read. I always get words mixed up because I'm always trying to keep pace with the words. But usually 9 times, like right now, like I just did just now, I tried to say 9 times out of 10, but I accidentally, you know, messed up my sentence. But just overall though, like when people ask me, like, you don't even have autism, or how were you born with it? I'm like, well, I was just born with it. And I always tell them, you know, when people say to me, you don't look like you have it, I always say I get that a lot. Because it's just always something that's like on repeat, you know, it's like keep beating on a dead horse. You know, it's just like, well, I have...
Because people put people with special needs in this one box, and they close the lid on it tightly.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, like we kept saying, everybody is different with it, even to people who have the same thing he has. They're going to function differently, they're going to act differently, you know, they're going to be different. And that's okay.
I have my flaws. I mean, Brittany clearly doesn't mind it. You know, she just loves me as a person. You know, she doesn't look at me as this guy who's, you know, in quote, and I don't like to use this word often, mentally retarded, because it's very offensive to me. It's like, to me, the equivalent of the N-word. I don't like when people use it. I think it's offensive. But oftentimes, people say it, and they don't understand the frustration I go through. And usually when I tell people that, I'm like, dude, don't use the R word around me. It's offensive. He's like, well, grow up. You know, you're 26 years old. You should be able to handle it by now. I'm like, it doesn't matter. If I said the N word tomorrow, and I would probably either get killed or beat up for it. Or if I said something else that was completely inappropriate.
Or it's like the same thing if someone has a depression. It's like, oh, you know, why you sad all the time? Oh, you like that all the time. Like, get over it. Like, it's the same premise, the same thing that you're going for with someone with special needs.
Not everybody is like that, and most people who I know who put me down for my disability are completely insecure, and like they don't understand or really get the big picture of why I asked people to please stop using the R word. I don't like it one bit, and I'm against it. And listen, I've worked with kids with my age for years, with kids with special needs, whether, they have cerebral palsy, or if they have Down syndrome, or if they have ADHD, or if they have autism, or any disability that I could think of. Even rare diseases that I can't even think of the top of my head. I always have that patience for it. And I get frustrated very often. Like, I'm not an angry person. It's just when I try to talk.
People's lack of knowledge with certain subjects that they think they know everything about, and then they're saying the wrong thing, and then when somebody's trying to tell them the right thing, they get mad because they think they know the right thing, and yada, yada, yada. So...
yeah, it's just one of those moments
people
that
aren't educated, and they don't want to be educated for their self-pride, whatever you want to call it.
I don't know anymore. So, yeah.
But it's like...
I just think it's important that people understand where other people are coming from. Because you know what they used to do to people like that? If people in the 60s found out you had autism, or if you had any other disability...
you put them in like a...
in the mental hospital.
Yeah, in the mental hospital, and do like certain tests and stuff on them.
To make sure...
It's disgusting that like now in 2019, or back when he told me he had autism, it was disgusting that he had to be worried about getting a second date before, tell me he has autism. Like, that's the kind of world we live in still, even when it shouldn't be.
I told her on the first date even. But I didn't know what the reaction was going to be.
No, I'm saying like you were worried about a second date because people, like I said, don't have the knowledge about these things. Even now in 2019, they still don't. And people don't like different people. Like, everybody has to follow the same kind of society.
There's just a lot of prejudiced people out there. There are people that say, oh, I hate kids with special needs, or, oh, I hate people that are Hispanic or black or Asian. It's just bigotry, in my opinion, or in our opinion, to say the least. I'm against it for people who do that to others. I'm always welcome to all kinds of races. I'm all open to anything, to a pleasant educational conversation. And
stereotypes.
Oh, yeah, beyond that. But overall, though, I think... the world can be a better place if people were, open-minded about it.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, our thing is just, you heard your whole life, be nice to people, be kind to people, don't judge somebody based on how they look and, stuff like that. Get to know them if you want to make a judgment first. It's really it.
Yeah, but...
if you don't like someone after get to know them, fine. You tried. You tried to, be friends with them. You tried to get to know somebody. That's all it takes is asking a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know, somebody's doing something that you don't know about, why just ask them.
Basically, yeah.
Start a conversation. Old school it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm an old school guy. So.
Anything else you want to say?
I'm good.
Okay. So we will leave you guys here. We will see you for our next video. So yeah. So I'm Brittany.
And I'm Bobby.
And we're the B&B Sagas. So we will see you guys soon.
Alright, if you have a question, put comments down below and subscribe and tell your friends all about it, and we'll catch up with you guys later.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Share it.
And share it, yeah.
Alright, catch you guys soon.
Alright, bye.